Okay, so today we'll be talking about Cameron's behavior plan. And if you look at your cheat sheet that I gave you, we can start there with the behaviors to increase. So to start, keeping a calm body is the number one thing for Cameron on his behavior to increase. And what keeping a calm body means for Cameron is having a safe body, which means he will be free of aggressions and environmental destruction for a 5-minute interval. And as you can see here, I've also given you Cameron's point card, and we'll be recording data every 5 minutes for Cameron's behaviors. And let's just say here that Cam goes 5 minutes while keeping a calm body. We would say to him, "Hey Cam, nice job keeping a calm body. You earned a point." So then we would look at his point card, which we hold with us. We do not allow him to touch it, and we would check off a box for him showing that he earned a point. Next, we have Cameron's functional communication response, which is, "Can I have one more minute?" So a lot of his problem behavior comes from terminating trade-ins for one reason or another, and so put in place for him is an FCR which just states, "Can I have one more minute?" So for that, initially to start, we will begin by prompting Cameron with that. So, for example, we can just say that, well, right here, I'll say, "Can I have one more minute?" This is how we will prompt Cam upon terminating his trade-in. So, to start, we will terminate the trade-in and immediately show him this piece of paper which states, "Can I have one more minute?" So, we'll pretend here that you are trading in with a book. And you can hold this and pretend to be reading it. And for example, we could just say, "Hey Cam, your training is all done," and then present this to you, or teasing any of his peers, anything like that. So we'll also be checking this on 5-minute intervals, which we will do with the point card as I showed you earlier. And so when we're checking the points every 5 minutes, the main things that we're looking for is him keeping a calm body and talking nicely. So on a 5-minute interval, the timer will go off, and we will say to him, "Hey Cam, let's check your points." And then we can say to him, "Wow, nice job keeping a calm body nicely, safe body, excuse me." And then we could check in and give him his point. Next, we have the scenes for Cam. So all behaviors are attention-seeking behaviors. He will often engage in behaviors such as swearing in a non-contextual way in order to gain staff attention. Another antecedent for Cam is NH training, which we talked about a minute ago, and we definitely want to use a positive emphasis on FCR because we've definitely seen a lot of behaviors around this in the past. Next, we have Cameron not earning a trade-in. So as I spoke about with the point card earlier, he has the opportunity to earn a point every 5 minutes throughout a 30-minute half. So he has the opportunity to earn up to 6 points, but he needs 4 points in order to trade in. So that means he could have, maybe some bad language or teasing a peer throughout that half. As long as he is able to be free of any aggressions in that period, that means that he is able to trade in as long as he has 4 points. So if he does not earn that trade in, what we want to do is just remove all attention from him and just keep working until the next half rolls around. You can say, "Hey, you didn't earn your points that half, but we can try again next time." So his behaviors to decrease that we've talked a little bit about already is his aggression to others. So a lot of times for him, what that will look like is when a work demand is placed on him, or if he's not getting the attention that he wants. Like I said earlier, if a staff walks by, a lot of times it could look like a pinch or like a light hit, something like this. So that could be some examples of what the behavior would look like. So if we take a little bit more of a look at this aggression to others here, we can see that he has a timeout procedure. So the moment that he is to engage in the challenging behavior of aggression to others, what you're going to want to do is say to him, "Cam, walk to timeout," in a neutral tone. And you can gesture while you do that, but if he does not comply with the directive, you can escort him to the timeout room and run the timeout procedure as prescribed. Next, another behavior decrease is his. So for him, what that would look like is, swiping materials off the desk when he's presented with a demand, hitting a table, kicking a wall, something like that. And swearing, I think, is a pretty clear thing that we all know what that is. We just want to make sure that we're also taking into consideration the teasing of his fears as well. So, like I said, for his reinforcement, what we want to do is every 5 minutes check in with him. If he is earning his points, use a lot of positive language and say, "Hey, Cam, nice job using keeping a safe body and talking to him. Really doing a great job. He's doing that, and he's on task and doing what he's supposed to be doing." So I know that might have been a lot of information for you to process. So what I've done here is I've also made a flow chart that will kind of keep things simple for you. So we can see here, it starts with keeping a calm body. And like we talked about with the point card, we just say, "Nice job keeping a calm body, you earned a point." And using it as FCR, it gives you a little bit of an easy thing to look at here if he uses it independently, immediately give him 1 more minute. If we end the trade-in and he does not use FCR, then we present the prompt and show it to him, and once he verbally states, "Can I have 1 more minute?" we immediately grant that 1 more minute. And last year we have his talking nicely, which we talked about checking the points with him. We'll just say, "Hey Cam, nice job. Talking nicely, you earned your point." And then here we have his behaviors decrease here, which you can look and think about. It kind of breaks down this timeout procedure and makes it simple for you. So you can just look here and see, as soon as he is to engage in any aggression, which a lot of times I said will just look like this, like a pinch at the desk. You'll say to him, "Cam, watch the timeout." And if he walks independently, follow the timeout procedure. If he does not follow his directive or continues to aggress, then you can use an escort to escort him to timeout.
Is there a specific way that you'd like him to be escorted?
Just an escort from the side using the comm training that we've learned in the past. And I can demonstrate for you what that looks like as well when we do our role plays in a few minutes. Next, for his environmental destruction, you immediately just want to remove all attention from him and mark a 0 on his point card. So if he has to do that, say for example, you're working with Cam and he punches a table, immediately you're just going to remove all attention from that behavior and mark a 0 on his point card in the 5-minute interval that he did not earn the point. Next we have the swearing. Again, remove all attention and mark a 0 on his point card, so he immediately knows the behavior that he is losing the points for. So next we can go into a bit of a role play here, and you can look down at your cheat sheet and whatever you need in order to do that. And I've given you a blank point card here, and its guidelines, and a data sheet as well. So to start, we can just kind of pretend that you're presenting me with a math worksheet.
Alright, Cam, we are going to do some fact families today.
I don't want to do any damn math.
Time out.
Okay, you did a great job doing that. So then at this point, he'll be willing to walk the timeout on his own, which he'll then come and close the door and follow the timeout procedure correct for 5 minutes. Okay. So next I would like, I would pretend to be Cam, you will be the student this time, and you can engage in some aggressive behavior towards me, or any other behavior that you choose, and I can appropriately tell you how to react to those behaviors.
Okay.
Okay. Hey Cam, how's it going?
Good.
Alright, we're going to do some math, okay?
Okay. I don't know how to do this stupid math.
It's alright, you can do it. Keep trying. Nice job. Cam, walk to Tio.
No.
Yes, walk to Tio.
No.
So at this point, if you don't have assistants around, we can pretend that someone was able to come and help us to scoop him, or again to stand up. Let's just say he was going to at least comply to stand up. You can escort him like this to the timeout room, in which case he'll be placed inside and we will close the door for 5 minutes and run the timeout procedure. So now I'll just ask you a couple questions now that we've run through some things to see how you feel about things. So if Cam was to punch the table really hard while you told him to work, what should you do?
Not give him any attention and mark a 0 on his sheet.
Nice job. And how about if he is keeping a calm body and talks nicely for a 5-minute interval?
You did a good job and give him this check mark on his point sheet.
Nice job. And how many points does Cam need throughout the half in order to trade in?
4.
Nice. Great job. Okay, so next what I would do is inform the staff that I will be having an observation with them at a certain point in the day, at which point I would sit down with the instructor and Cameron, the student, and I would just observe them working together for the half. And in that time, I would use a data sheet that I created for the staff's observation, which really goes through all the things that we talked about, the staff's ability to properly perform the behaviors to increase, knowing the antecedents for certain behaviors that the student might have. If there is any behaviors to decrease, we're not going to take points away from them. If the behavior becomes out of control, we'll immediately step in at that point and help the staff out, but we'll only mark the staff's ability to correctly implement or not implement the procedures correctly for behavior decrease, and it will not be held against them if there is no behaviors happen within the given half. And next, just the staff's ability to correctly reinforce the student when necessary, and finally just making sure that the staff is correctly taking data. So throughout the half, just making sure that she's using the data sheet correctly, recording behaviors that occur in 5-minute intervals as prescribed, and making sure she's correctly, really reinforcing that positive behavior that we're trying to increase for the student. So from there, I would just use the data sheet and observe her throughout the half and grade her based upon that and give her any feedback if necessary in order to have the plan be run as correctly as possible.
Sounds good.